228, and the title should say measuring capacity. And remember, capacity just means how much can you fit in an area. So restaurants have a certain amount of capacity of people that they're allowed to have. Anything over that would be dangerous to have that many people in one area. Or a coffee mug. When I drink my coffee in the morning, I know my coffee mug can hold 10 ounces. Anything over that is over capacity and it would spill. So that's what capacity means. Okay, so you'll see the same picture of the G, Q, P, and C that you see on the side that we had in our math message. So let's fill in what we had for our math message. Remember, we said that for every gallon, there is 4 quarts, because there's 4 Q's inside of that big G. For every half gallon, remember we drew our invisible line here, there's 2 quarts. For every, change my color, inside every quart, every Q, there's 2 pints, because there's 2 P's. And inside every pint, there's 2 cups. Okay, so we're going to use that knowledge and this organizer, this little graphic, to help us complete the 2 column tables below for number 1. So let's look at A. 1 pint. And I know for every 1 pint, there is 2 cups, because that is what it tells us here. For every 1 pint, there's 2 cups. So that means if I want to convert pints to cups, I have to multiply by 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. 3 pints times 2 is equal to 6 cups. 5 pints times 2 is equal to 10 cups. And now I have cups going to pints. So what's the opposite of multiplication? You need to divide by 2. 16 divided by 2 is 8, because 8 times 2 is 16. That's a good way to check you could do multiplication to check your division. Okay, let's look at B. B is quarts to pints. And as we can see, for every 1 quart, there's 2 pints. So again, we're going to be multiplying by 2. If we're going from pints to quarts, the opposite, we're going to be dividing by 2. Okay, so 2 times 2 is 4, so 2 quarts is 4 pints. 3 quarts times 2 is equal to 6 pints. 14 divided by 2 is equal to 7 pints, and I can check my answer by doing 7 times 2, and I should get 14. 9 quarts is equal to 18 pints, and 13 quarts is equal to 26 pints of liquid. Okay, let's look at C. Gallons to quarts. And I know for every 1 gallon, there's 4 quarts. So to get from gallons to quarts, you're going to be multiplying by 4. And if you want to go from quarts to gallons, you're going to be dividing by 4. So 2 gallons times 4 is equal to 8 quarts. 3 gallons times 4 is equal to 12 quarts. 36 divided by 4 is 9. And I want to check my answer. So I'm going to do 9 times 4, and that gives me 36. And then 15 times 4 is equal to 60. So 15 gallons is equal to 60 quarts. Okay, D, we are going from quarts to cups. So from quarts to cups. Let's go back to our chart. And I know that 1 quart is equal to 2 pints. So now we have to look back at our graphic because we're going from quarts to cups. Now, I'm going to erase my highlighting so you can see a little bit better. Now, we're going from quarts, so 1Q, and we want to see how many C's, how many cups are in that, fit into that 1Q. And I notice there's 4. So that means for every 1 quart, it's equal to 4 cups. So for every 1 quart, it's equal to 4 cups. So I'm going to be multiplying by 4, and if I'm going from cups to quarts, I'm going to be dividing by 4. So 3 quarts is 12 cups. 5 quarts is 20 cups. 6 quarts is equal to 24 cups. And now remember, 40 divided by 4 would give me 10. And to double check my answer, I'm going to do multiplication. Oop, I erased my 6 here. Oh, and Miss Mold's sloppy with her numbers. That looked like a 26. This is 20. This is 26. And 10 times 4 is 40. Awesome. So we finished all of our 2-column tables. Let's look at number 2. Trisha had a container with a capacity larger than 2 cups, but smaller than 1 gallon. So it is larger than 2 cups, but smaller than a gallon. Which of these could be the container's capacity? So which one could hold that amount? Well, right off the bat, we know that we can probably cancel out gallon and cup, right? Because it's smaller than a gallon but larger than a cup, so it can't be either of those. So let's look back at our graphic. A pint is smaller than 1 gallon, and it is the capacity larger than 2 cups. And as you can see, it is not, because it's equal to cups. So 1 pint is equal to 2 cups, not larger. So it can't be a pint. So it can't be a pint. So that must mean quarts. So let's look at a quart really quick. So here's the Q. And it's smaller than a gallon because it fits inside the G, but it's bigger than 2 cups because a quart is actually 4 cups. So the answer is quart. Sue and her sister Cindy have a lemonade stand. They want to make 8 gallons of lemonade. They only have 1 quart containers to put the lemonade in. How many 1 quart containers will they need to hold 8 gallons of lemonade? So this is a great capacity word problem because they're telling you they have all this lemonade, 8 gallons of lemonade, but the only thing that they can fit it in is a 1 quart jar or container. So we have to figure out how many of those containers would they need. So we need to figure out how many quarts can fit in 1 gallon. And if I look up here, I know that 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. And of course, you know my issue with everyday math, they never give you enough room. So I know that if 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts, then 8 gallons, and it's just like what we did in problem number 1. I have to multiply by 4, right? 8 gallons times 4 cups in each gallon would give me 32. So 8 gallons is 32 quarts. So Sue and her sister Cindy would have to have 32 of those jars or containers to fit the 8 gallons of lemonade. Okay, so now you see on this math page, they're showing you a different type of measurement scale to measure capacity. So how are these two representations alike? So how is this picture and the scale alike? Well, they both show the relationship between 2 different units. So gallons to quarts, quarts to pints, pints to cups. And they're different because one is a measurement scale. So it starts at a number and goes either up or down depending on which way the scale goes. And the other one is a drawing, but they both convey the same information. So let's look at number 4. How many cups are there in a quart of milk? So like always with any type of word problem, I always recommend you highlighting the information. This is especially important when you are doing conversion, like taking one measurement of unit and going to another one so you don't get confused. So how many cups are there in 1 quart of milk? So they want you to go from quarts to cups, and they're asking for the answer in cups. So first let's look at the measurement scale that goes from quarts to cups. Okay, so you will notice that there isn't one, but there is a measurement scale that goes from quarts to pints, and then from pints to cups. So we have to do a double conversion here. So for 1 quart, there's 2 pints. Okay, and sometimes I like to do an illustration too, so I'm going to try to do it up on the side up here. For 1 quart, actually let's use for 1 quart, there is 2 pints. That's supposed to be a Q. 1 quart, there's 2 pints. Now, for every pint, there's 2 cups. So for this pint, there's 2 cups, and for this pint, there's 2 cups. So now you can see that for every quart, there's 4 cups. So the answer is 4. Now, how many cups are there in a gallon? So I'm going to draw my picture again, and I'm going to look at, for 1 gallon, there's 4 quarts. So 1 gallon, there's 4 quarts. For each quart, there's 2 pints. And for every pint, there's 2 cups. Oh, I'm gonna run out of room. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So there's 16 cups in a gallon. Now, if I wanted to do that without drawing a picture, it's very helpful to look at this drawing instead, because you can see for every gallon, there is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 cups. So for every gallon, there's 16 cups. So you could do either way. Either way is helpful. All right, let's look at number 5. In 2012, the city of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, set a record for the building for the largest working fondue pot. Interesting. The pot holds 275 gallons of melted cheese. That is a lot. 275 gallons of melted cheese. How many pints is that? Okay, so we have gallons to quarts here. And then we have quarts to pints. So in this case, you could use the measurement scale, but you also could use the picture on the other side too to figure out how many pints are in a gallon. And if you notice, inside of this G, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pints. So for 1 gallon is equal to 8 pints. So we're going to have to do some multiplication here. So we're going to have to multiply 275 times 8. So I'm going to do 275 times 8, and I know that 5 times 8 is 40, 7 times 8 is 56, plus 4 is 60, and I know that 2 times 8 is 16, plus 6, which would give me 22. So there is 2,200 pints of melted cheese in the world's largest working fondue pot. And the way that we got 8 too, if you want to do it that way, is if you know that there's 1 gallon for 4, let me actually do it down here where I have a little bit more room. I know if there's 1 gallon that equals 4 quarts, and for every 1 quart, it equals 2 pints. So you would just multiply 4 times 2, which is 8. So 1 gallon equals 8 pints. You could do it that way too. Okay, let's look at number 6. Mr. Lee ordered 45 pints of milk for the 4th grade party. 45 pints of milk. There are 96 4th graders, and each is supposed to get 1 cup of milk. A, did Mr. Lee order the correct amount of milk? B, if so, explain why you think he's correct. If not, how many pints of milk should he have ordered? Okay, so I know that if 96 4th graders want to get 1 cup of milk, there's going to be 96 cups is what we need. We need 96 cups of milk. And if there's 1 pint for every 2 cups, so I'm going to make a little conversion chart here, pints to cups, and if there's 1 pint in 2 cups, if I have 45 pints, how many cups would that be? Well, you're going to do 45 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10. 8, 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So for every 45 pints, there's 90 cups. He only ordered 45 pints, which is 90 cups. But he needs 96 cups. So did he order the correct amount of milk? No, he didn't. He needed 6 more cups. If so, explain why you think he is correct. If not, how many pints should he have ordered? So how many pints would he need to get to 96? Well, let's see. If he had 46 pints, that would give us 92. If he had 47 pints, that would give us 94, so we're getting closer. If he had 48 pints, that would give us 96. So I know that he needs 84 pints of milk to feed the whole 4th grade class. Okay, number 7. Daphne and Jordan made jam to sell at the market. Their jam is sold in pint-sized jars. They made 137 quarts, but only sold 59 quarts. How many pint-sized jars are left? So this is a multi-step problem. First, and I'm going to work down here. First, we need to figure out how many quarts, how many pint-sized jars did they use for their 137 quarts. So I know there is 1 quart can fit into 2 pints. So 1 quart can fit into 2 pints. So you can do, I know if 1 quart equals 2 pints. and he has 137 quarts, how many jars would that take? Well, you could do 137 times 2, which is 274 pints. That's how many pint-sized jars he would need. So I'm going to put Daphne and Jordan need 274 jars. So that's the first step. The second step is to figure out how many jars are in 59 quarts. Well, I know if 1 quart is 2 pints, 59 quarts, you just do 59 times 2, would give me 118 pints. So that's how many pints they sold. Okay, so this is how much they made. This is how much they sold. Now, they're not asking you how much they sold. They're asking you how many pint-sized jars are left. So now we need to do a third step. We need to take how many they made, which was 274 pints, and subtract how much they sold, which was 118 pints. So you would make this a 14 and this a 6 because you need to borrow. And you would get 14 minus 8, which is 6. 6 minus 1, which is 5. And 2 minus 1, which is 1. So they had 156 jars left after they sold them. So in that one little problem, we had to do 3 different steps. We had to figure out how much was made, how much they sold, and how much was left. Okay, I'm going to erase my work down here. We're going to do our last problem. James had a 3-quart water bottle. Eileen brought a 1-gallon jug. Whose container holds more cups? And then they're asking how many more. So, again, multi-steps. So we're going to do James first. James. So he had a quart water bottle. So we need to go from quarts to cups. And if you use your picture on the left, for every quart, for every Q, there's 4 cups. So for 1 quart, it's equal to 4 cups. And he had a 3-quart water bottle. So 4 times 3 is 12. So his water bottle can fit 12 cups of water. So now we have to do Eileen's. Eileen's water bottle is a 1-gallon jug. So we have to go from gallons to pints. Now, instead of doing the conversion from gallons to quarts, quarts to pints, pints to cups, you could just use the picture. And I know for every gallon, it has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 cups. So 1 gallon equals 16 cups. So now we can answer whose container holds more cups. James holds 12 cups and Eileen's holds 16. So James holds 12 and Eileen holds 16. So we can say that Eileen's jug holds more than James's water bottle. How much more? Well, now we have to go to our third step, which is taking 16 cups. When you compare, you're always subtracting. And 12 cups. And you get 4. There's a 4-cup difference between Eileen and James's. Okay, the final math journal page is going to be in the next video on the next slide.